Yesterday, I put on my holiday ready heart bracelet for the first time, and I had to ask myself, what do I even mean by holiday ready? Is October with the holiday ready heart challenge going to be just like May all over again, where I just take the bracelet and trade it back and forth as a way to remind myself to be complaint free and not complain, criticize, gossip, or use sarcasm? Or is there something more to what I mean by a holiday ready heart? And I'd love to say I spent an hour really contemplating deeply what it means, and I didn't, because yesterday was a busy day for us. Our whole family of four piled into the car, and a few hours later, after traveling, we came back home, and it was just my husband and me, because it's that time of year. We took Anne Marie to college for her fourth year, and Jonathan for his second year. And I'm going to tell you, it felt wonderful to be old hat, to be kind of veterans as parents who are taking kids to college. I didn't have jitters. I wasn't worried about making sure everything was just right. Really, our major hope was to have a safe trip, to have a smooth move in, and then to have some clear traffic to get back home. Now, the day had its hitches. In the first place, one member of the family, who will remain anonymous, spent a little too much time getting ready, and so three members of the family were waiting for the one person, and we left later than had originally been agreed. Well, then the driver, who will also remain anonymous, felt the need to speed to kind of make up for lost time and make all sorts of negative comments about all the other drivers on the road. And partway through the trip, my finger started hurting. I put a sewing machine needle, I won't show you, it's ugly, but I put a sewing machine needle through my fingernail on Friday, and it was starting to swell and throb. So I was looking for the Advil in my purse. Well, I found the bottle, but sanguine me forgot to refill it the last time I emptied it, and so I just kind of had to grin and bear the pain. Now, yesterday wasn't a big milestone day for our family, but it was kind of a big day because of everything that we needed to get done. And in looking back over the day, I realized that in 10 hours, I made an emergency run to Walmart because I needed to get antibiotics just in case infection was setting in. Of course, we loaded up the car. That takes time and energy, especially for the melancholy who has to make sure everything's right where it belongs. We traveled somewhere between 400 and 500 miles round trip. We had to make a couple of unplanned stops because the tire light kept going on. Fortunately, nothing was wrong, but we had to keep stopping to check it. Then at one point along the trip, we saw horrible traffic ahead and decided with just, a moment to spare to take a completely different route. And well, we didn't know if it was going to work. We didn't know if we were going to hit worse traffic or what. And then when we finally got to college, went into the bookstore, and we spent what I will just call an astonishing amount of money. I've been working on getting books for the kids for several years now. I'm pretty good at finding the bargains, and we went over budget 3 times. So there was the sticker shock and okay, so we're not going to eat for the next 4 months kind of a sense. And then once we got the kids moved in, it was time to say goodbye. And I know that they're 20 and 21. I know that we're at the stage of life where it's time for them to separate and become their own people. It's still hard to say goodbye to your firstborn and to your baby. And I know it's funny to call my son my baby because he's 6 feet tall and has a rather bushy beard, but still. And then on the way home, my husband and I, we were chit-chatting back and forth, and we talked about a lot of things, but we seemed to keep coming back to kind of fretting about the past or worrying about the future and really just kind of evaluating some of the things that we wish we'd done differently as parents. Now, I don't mean to paint the picture of yesterday as being a bad day. It really wasn't. We got done what we needed to get done. But I did list quite a few kind of life events that we crammed there into about 8 hours. And when I got home in the afternoon, early evening, I was tired, and I was so glad that I could just head to bed. Now, if we look back at yesterday through the eyes of the personalities, well, first of all, there was no time for fun for the sanguines. And anytime we tried to insert some sanguine fun and laugh or joke, it pretty quickly got shut down because at any point in time during the trip, somebody was feeling grumpy or grouchy and kind of sniping at the others. Well, since we started late, that ruined the whole concept of a perfect trip for the melancholies because it can't be perfect if you start late. And so the melancholies in the family found it a very imperfect day in many ways. For the cholerics, and I'm part sanguine, part choleric, control issues were just a huge battle because the unexpected traffic, the high book prices, and even just trying to do a good job of saying goodbye, these are things I couldn't predict and I couldn't fix them. And then the phlegmatics in the family who just want peace. They didn't have such a good day either. Because we were busy and because we were bustling and because of the other things I've mentioned, really the only time they got their peace was at the end of the day when we were all separate and pretty much heading to bed. And as I kind of reflected back on yesterday, I realized that holidays for me, and probably for a lot of people, maybe even for you, can be a lot like yesterday. They involve travel, they involve spending a lot of money, they involve hellos and goodbyes, they probably involve to some degree thinking about the past. But on top of all of that, they have these huge expectations of what Christmas ought to be, what Thanksgiving ought to be, how it ought to look, and how it ought to make us feel. So we have these huge expectations on top of all of these life events that can be tiring anyways. And then we pretty much leave no room for emergencies. So when I'm looking at my bracelet and thinking to myself, what does a holiday ready heart really mean? Yeah, it is a whole lot more than what we did in May with just being complaint free and switching it back and forth as a reminder. Although I will be doing that in October also, because for me at least, that's a really important discipline that I need to revisit and I need to practice again. But I think having a holiday ready heart goes well beyond just being complaint free, at least for me. And tomorrow, I'll tell you a little bit more about exactly what it means.